Hey guys, welcome back. If you're really curious of why that last move worked, you're in the right spot. If you're not interested, you can skip this video. But we're going to talk about something called canceling. And we're going to talk about each piece individual that changes during the canceling process. We're going to talk about this block first. So the move is turn it up. So eventually we're going to have to make sure that that block gets turned down at some point. Push it towards. So we've turned it up and pushed it in a U direction that way. Notice this move is irrelevant for that. It will not touch that block at all. Didn't do anything. But what it did do is it moved that block back down, canceling the U move. And this next move will cancel the next part, which was the first part that moved it. So that block has been explained. Let's talk about this block. That move did nothing to it. That move did nothing to it. We turned it up, so at some point we'll have to turn it back down. At some point we're going to have to turn this back. Did nothing to it. We've turned that block back, and we've also turned that block back down. That move did nothing to it. So now we're going to talk about this block right here. Did nothing to it. That U move turned it once that way, so we're going to have to turn it back once that way. That did nothing to it. That moved it back into place. That move did nothing to it. That move moved it, so at some point we're going to have to move it back one that way. That did nothing to it, and that put it back into position. So we're making some good progress here. Now we can say the same thing about most of the edges here. We're going to do the corners first though. This corner. We moved it, and we also moved it. This is going to get a little hairy here. We move that side up and the top over clockwise. We moved it back down. Didn't touch it. Didn't touch it. We finally touched it. But notice what happened here. We did not touch the top in that direction twice. We did it twice clockwise and once counterclockwise. The counterclockwise and clockwise will cancel, leaving one clockwise turn. So that is why this piece moved to here. And we could say the same thing about this piece going from here to here, more likely than not. And this piece going from here to here. Let's take a look at this piece next. That hit it. Did nothing to it. 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 Actually, sorry. That R pulled it back up. And that U just knocked it back over to here. You know what, let's do that piece one more time. I apologize. That R did something to it. It hit it. That did nothing to it. That did nothing to it. That did nothing to it. It's still down here. We canceled the move by moving it down. And now that piece will end up to here. So that piece goes from here to here. Now let's take a look at this piece right here. Did nothing to it, then it ended up here. Moved it back to here. Back down to here. Now we're going to see some canceling. The U move will cancel. So we've talked about all the corners. Now we're going to talk about some of the edges. Talk about some of the edges here. Let's just talk about this one for now, because this one should stay in the same spot. Did nothing to it, it moved it over to here. Did nothing to it, moved it back. Did nothing to it, moved it over to here. Did nothing to it, moved it back. Moved it out of the way. The U move did nothing. Did nothing, did nothing. Moved it back up to here, moved it back to here, and that move moved it back. So essentially the U moves are just moving that one back into place. This one right here did nothing to it, moved it to here. Did nothing to it, moved it back into place. Did nothing to it, moved it to here. Did nothing to it, moved it back into place. It was essentially U moves canceling each other out. And finally this one in the back. That did nothing to it at all. Moved it to here. That one moved it out of the way, so the U move does nothing to it. This does nothing to it. This does nothing to it. That one right there pulled it back into place, and this U move will now cancel. So this was really just a lot of canceling. All of these edge pieces cancel. This corner piece canceled, but this one right here canceled in the sense that it went 2 clockwise and once counterclockwise. Therefore, moving it once clockwise. This one moved a bunch of canceling moves, but essentially it got down to 2 clockwise and 1 counterclockwise. Therefore, goes 1. This one right here moved quite a bit. I believe it got affected by a bunch of U moves. But how many U moves did it get affected by in a specific direction? It got affected by 2 more in a clockwise or counterclockwise, depending on how you like to run this move, making this piece go from here to here. That was a mouthful, guys, but that's why that move actually works. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we're going to be on to our final step.